This is a 2000 Toyota Camry V6 3.0. Today we're going to be changing a high pressure power steering line. I didn't see any videos for it on YouTube. I've never made a YouTube video before. I hope this helps people. Alright, let's get to it. Okay, you get your high pressure power steering from AutoZone. In this bag comes another little bag. In that bag is 2 copper washers and a rubber gasket. Okay, this is the old high pressure power steering line. Okay, so right here at the end is this weird circle thing. This weird circle thing, a bolt goes through it. It's called a banjo bolt. It stays with the car. The bolt is connected to a wire. The bolt's, it's like a smart bolt. Has a sensor connected to it. Okay, so that bolt goes through this hole, and then that bolt goes through this hole and into the power steering pump. Okay, so with the kit comes the 2 copper washers. So you get your bolt and you put the first copper washer on there. You put it through this hole. When it's through the hole, you get your second copper washer and you put it through that bolt. Okay, so that means there's 2 copper washers, 1 on each side of this circle thing. Okay, so then this part goes up behind your engine block, up to this bracket that holds it in place. That's all it does. It's 10 or 12 millimeter bolt that's at the very top, right behind the engine block. You'll see this U and you'll see this bracket. Okay, and then comes down, and this connects into something else, which I'll show you in a second. Okay, when you buy this thing at the store, they're going to ask you if you have a switch port or you don't have a switch port. If there's a piece of steel that's coming out of this thing right here and something screws into it, then you have a switch port. If there's not a piece of steel, then you have no switch port. Okay, so I have no switch port. Okay, the one with a switch port is actually cheaper. Okay, so this part I'm going to show you right now. Okay, so I got my car on jack stands. I got bricks behind the tires. You got to get under the car. Not just from here, but on the other end. Okay, so you come over here. Get over here, and right here you're going to see a pulley. It's right behind the tire. Is that first pulley right there, okay? And behind the pulley is your power steering pump, okay? And there is that weird O that I was showing you a second ago. And above that O is the bolt, okay? The bolt is above that O. And there, if you can see, there's the wire that's coming out of it, okay? So when you take this thing off, you're gonna loosen that bolt, not the circle thing, not the thing below it, that bolt, okay? And what you need is a long 15-16 inch wrench, okay? And to get it off, you gotta get the wrench and you gotta stick it in this little space and you gotta get it on there, and then you turn it 1/4 inch at a time, okay? That's what you gotta do. It's a tight spot to work in, but that's what you gotta do. You gotta stick this thing, and me personally, it would only turn that much before I hit this wall right here. So what I had to do is I had to turn it, and then I had to take the wrench out, flip it around, put it on there again, turn it, take the wrench out, and so on until I cracked it. Once you crack it, you can hand tighten it or hand loosen it, okay? Once it's cracked, you can do it by your hand, okay? Okay, so that goes into the top right there. Then there's another tube that goes right here. I got that to the side, see? This thing just goes right here, like that. This thing just pops right here. And there's one bolt holding that in place, a 10 or 12 millimeter. So you don't have to take that off to change what I'm changing, but it's just one bolt, so I did. So you just take that bolt off, and then you wiggle it off, and you get it out of your way. I don't know how I would have took that bolt off if I didn't take that off. So I suggest you take it off. Okay? So then there's that O part, and there's the pipe that comes out and it goes up behind your engine block. And it goes up all the way right here. Here's my engine block, and it's supposed to be right here. Okay? So when you're putting the bolt back in, since I'm already putting the new one in, this thing doesn't bend, it's metal. So when you put that part down there, the circle part, through the bolt and you try to thread it into the power steering pump, it's gonna give you shit. Okay? So what I had to do is zip tie this corner of it to this thing right here. Because when I try to do it without it being zip tied, every time I moved that part down there, it would move this whole thing and it would get caught up on shit. Okay? And it would keep me from putting the bolt in. What I suggest is have a friend hold that, hold this silver part. You want to line up this silver thing. You want to line this silver thing up so you can drop the bolt through the silver thing into the power steering pump. So since this thing doesn't bend, it gives you a bunch of shit. So the best thing I say is get a friend to hold this in place while you drop the bolt in place. I had to do it by myself with one hand, and it was difficult. I had to do this whole motion. I had to hold the metal with these fingers while spinning this in place. Okay? But I got it back on there. It took about 15 minutes, but I got it on there. Okay? With the washers on there. It's super annoying to keep that bottom copper washer on there while you're trying to put it in place. It fell out on me like 4 times. I almost, you know, got pissed off, whatever. So watch out for that. All right, so then come over here, and then behind your engine, like I showed you on the old one, this is where the bracket goes, right here. It goes right here. Okay? Okay, and then, so that bracket just bolts into there. It's like a 10 or 12 millimeters. So I got my little socket wrench, and I put it in there, and I put it on there, and I took it off, quarter turn at a time. Okay? But I did get it off. Okay? And then that goes all the way down. I don't know if you can see it, but it's that silver thing. So there it is. It drops all the way down. Okay, so you just drop it down there. Okay? And then halfway through. So the silver part we were looking at is right here. Is this thing. Okay? So around right here, behind the engine block, there's another bracket. So you gotta come over here to the right side of your engine, get your hand, shove it in there, get your wrench, and take that one off, quarter turn at a time. Okay? After you do that, you get under the engine. You get under the engine. And you wind up right here. Let me try to get you a wide shot. Here, there's the tire. Here's a little opening. Right? Okay. Here's the back of my engine. Okay? And this is that part. This is the straight part. Okay? And it drops down. I dropped it down. And once it drops down, you bend it. You bend it, and it goes into this thing. Okay? But this thing is tricky. This thing doesn't turn. If you try to turn this, you'll turn this whole thing and you'll fuck it up. Okay? This is the part right here. Okay? This is it right here. This is what you tighten, and this is what you loosen. Okay? Now, in the package, it comes with a little rubber gasket. I think the rubber gasket goes right here on this part. It's the only thing that it looks like it fits. Okay? Don't quote me on that, but I think that's where I'm gonna put it. Okay? So when you take this off and you put it back on, you don't turn this, you turn this. Okay? That's gonna be a 17 millimeter. Okay? You just put it on there and you tighten it back on. Alright. Awesome. So that's it. That's your high pressure power steering. It's basically 2 bolts. It's this one and the one that goes into the power steering pump itself. Okay? Then there's two other bolts, but they're just brackets that hold it in place. That's it. So the reason I'm changing it is because I had a leak. So I got UV dye and I put it in the tank, and then I got a black light at night and I saw it glowing from this tube.